I'm so excited to chat with you and like kind of introduce, I guess, quantum biology to more
Yeah,
people.
exactly. So we already have a couple of people that have joined. I'm sure there's going to be more people that will come. Just to kick us off, we call these live sessions empowerment sessions because that's what we want to do at Unity. We want to empower people to live a life beyond their wildest dreams, a fulfilled life. And today I get to chat with you, which is amazing because the topic of quantum biology is something that is very personal for me. What is quantum biology and why do you think people need to know about it if they want to have an amazing life, a healthy life?
Yeah, quantum biology, the way that I approach quantum biology is just understanding the body and how it operates and how it strives towards always being in optimum health for us through a different lens, right? Through a different level. So I would say that modern medicine really looks at our bodies very much from a biochemistry perspective, or we look at the organs as individual separate systems. And through quantum biology, we kind of look at the body at a scale that's below the chemistry of the body. That's electrons, that's protons, that's light. We're just these beautiful beings of light. And also even things like how the water in our body operates at that scale. And we just know enough about the operations of the human body at that scale to then make some really amazing recommendations on how we can either optimize our health if we're still on a healing journey, or just be the thriving individuals that we're designed to be. So that's quantum biology to me. And I know, Tiffany, you dove down this rabbit hole as well. And so from that comes just so many amazing understandings of what we can do to just support our lives, just from such a simple yet profound ways.
Yes, I find it very profound. For me, it's really the foundation for everything. And your explanation was much better than mine because I usually throw out Sheldon Cooper and the Big Bang Theory when it explains quantum biology because everyone knows what he does, right? But it's about the body. So yeah, I agree with you. It's quantum biology for me is really the foundation. If you want to heal yourself and all of the other things that are out there, they don't work properly if you don't have the foundation laid out. So,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
I would just be interested. You've been working in this field for many, many years now. You've had a huge impact on my healing journey because you've been teaching me all these things. And what are the most common things that people come to you with, like your clients? What are they struggling with? And how has applying these principles helped them? And maybe you can even go into that a little bit. Like, what do we actually do when we're
Yeah,
doing quantum health? You know, it's like, oh,
totally.
it
We want
sounds so
to
fancy.
Yeah, let's empower
Yeah.
people, right? Let's give them the details. So yeah, so what I see more and more, and unfortunately, what I'm seeing nowadays more and more in clinical practice is people not just coming to me with one thing. I would say maybe 10 years ago, it was, I have chronic fatigue, or I've got digestive issues, or my sleep is really bad. Like there was, some key things that people were struggling with, but it was usually just one thing. And now when I see people, it's a constellation of things like, a diagnosis of Lyme plus MCAS or histamine intolerance, plus anxiety, plus depression, plus poor sleep, plus chronic fatigue, right? Plus some form of pain or inflammation in the body that's expressing itself. And I've seen quantum biology reverse everything, because what quantum biology does, and typically, and there's a lot of ways we can support the body through this lens. Perhaps today we can talk about light, Tiffany. I think you would agree,
Yeah.
right? That would be a really good way to understand that. But what I think is happening when the body expresses that many symptoms of dis-ease, it's that the body is really outside of the energy and information it was designed to interact with. And through my lens in clinical practice, the foundation really is the light environment that one is living under for the majority of the day. So obviously we've got these periods that we call daytime and these periods that we've called darkness. And unfortunately, with modern living, we've been really able to manipulate those periods to either literally have daytime all night, or to be exposed to artificial light that, while it illuminates our space so we can see, we now understand through the lens of quantum biology that we've got what are called non-visual photosensors, meaning we're full of sensors really trying to recognize the light frequencies in our environment and how they shift and change throughout the course of a daytime, right? From sunrise essentially to solar noon back to sunset. And those changing frequencies of light, specifically things like blue light and ultraviolet, they really send information to my body about what I need to do. When do I need energy? When should I feel alert and awake? When should the thyroid start to become more active in its signaling to various organs? When do I need to start winding it down and making melatonin and preparing for sleep? And unfortunately, we've just divorced ourselves from those signals because they come so beautifully from sunlight or cloudy days or any light from nature, right? And modern light just doesn't have that same signaling. And since it doesn't have that same signaling, it creates what I would call chaos in the body. And then the chaos will express itself as dis-ease. And unfortunately, the chaos is quite drastic these days in a lot of us because of how different our lifestyle is to the light we were designed to be around all day long.
Yeah, that sums it up really nicely. I actually think that the light part is the most important part because people tend to forget this. They always talk, oh, I feel so good when I'm in nature. Well, you're nature too, but when you are just inside with all of these artificial LED bulbs, when you're turning night into day, when you're just in front of your screens all day, when you're never connected to the ground, you're not part of your nature. And that's what happens, right? If you put a plant inside darkness the whole time, it's gonna wilt. And that's kind of what happens. I refer to myself as a plant sometimes because that's just how I see it, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe because you're talking about light, there's probably going to be a few people watching that have no idea about quantum biology. Explain your glasses because they have a huge impact on this all. And they're probably like, why is she wearing these weird orange glasses?
I know. So these are like more of my, these, believe it or not, are more of my lighter toned yellow ones that I wear anytime I'm in an environment where I'm around artificial light for an extended period of time, like on screens. So I'm on a screen right now, and you know, technology is what it is. It's part of our modern lives, and so I can't just live in a cave and then still talk to you, Tiffany, or teach about this stuff on this platform. But I want to note that I'm trying to protect those photoreceptors in the backs of my eyes that signal time of day. And modern lighting, these LED screens that we have, are just such a massive bright burst of blue light that's just chronic. It's always on. And that's what those sensors are keying in on to try to tell time of day, is that blue. And unfortunately, that can really create some chaotic time signaling, chaotic circadian rhythm signaling in the brain. And so anytime I'm indoors around screen technology, I protect my eyes with these yellow tone blue blockers. If I'm outside, nope, these are on the top of my head, or they're completely gone. I'm just out, I'm sky gazing, you know, I'm enjoying the natural light signaling. And at night, during periods of where the sun sets, you know, there would be no blue light coming from the sun, right? That's gone. That's the perfect timekeeper, Tiffany, you know this, right? At sunrise, we start to get that blue light coming into those sensors, and then the blue light increases in intensity until the sun reaches the high point in the sky, and then the amount of blue light goes down and down and down until it goes away after sunset. Campfire does not contain any blue light, right? Candlelight does not contain blue light. So that change in the amount of blue light coming from the sun is what we keyed in on to tell time. So those sensors in the backs of my eyes are picking up on that time signal, and there's a direct connection to my hypothalamus from there called my retinohypothalamic tract. And I'm literally taking that signal of what time it is based on the amount of blue light and communicating it to a clock in my brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus that literally communicates to every cell in my body what time of day it is, which is why certain cells know when to be more metabolically active and other cells know, okay, no, now is not our time. We don't need that to be more active. It's how we know to release certain hormones at key times of the day. For example, cortisol in the morning versus melatonin at night. And when that gets thrown off, you can imagine what kind of chaos
Yeah.
can ensue. And so I try to still live a modern life, but I wear the orange tone ones after sunset to continue to signal to my brain, even if I have a light bulb on, that there's no blue light in my environment, because the orange lens blocks the blue signal. Same thing first thing in the morning. If I wake up before sunrise, I put the orange ones on, again, to not artificially stimulate my day by, let's say, picking up a cell phone and then making my brain think, oh no, it's the middle of the
Yeah.
afternoon, with the amount of blue that it's perceiving.
Yeah, so it's really a stressor, this blue light. And I mean, I'm doing all of these things. Shame on me, I'm not wearing my glasses right
It's
now
okay.
out of
It's
vanity.
okay. No
So
judgment. No
I need to
judgment.
work on that. They're over there. But I want to go back a little bit more and talk about the impact on mental health, because I'm just going to speak from my own experience now, that applying these quantum practices, these habits into my life has made a massive impact on my entire life. Really, I used to be a completely different person. I used to struggle with energy, chronic depression. I was not a happy person. I was not happy to be on this planet. I could never get out of bed, it was very hard for me. But then I started doing all of these things, after I've already tried all of the other things, and that's when it finally worked. That's how things finally changed for me. And now going back to the glasses, just so people understand the impact it can have on your health. When I don't wear my glasses in the evening, when I allow that artificial light into my life after sunset, the next morning I wake up and I feel like I was out partying all night. I'm aching everywhere. My hunger signals are increased. So anyone struggling with binge eating, and that's a common thing. I'm depressed. My entire day is just ruined. And it took me forever to figure out that it had nothing to do with what I ate the day before, or, I always blamed food for that, or other people for my bad mood. But really, it was just because I was living out of sync with this light rhythm. Yeah, I think that's really, it's profound that we understand this. I want to talk a little bit more about the power of thought
Ah,
and quantum biology, because there's this word that everyone is throwing out right now, and that is manifesting, right?
ah.
You want to manifest your life. It's this huge trend. Everywhere you go, you can buy stuff with a manifesting abundance. But what is manifesting to you, and how do you think that applying these practices, these quantum habits, have an impact on manifesting your dream life? Because I have my theories and I would love to hear what you think about it, and then I'll share what I think about it.
Yeah, yeah, sure. I think the conversation there with me starts with the understanding of how water in our body behaves. And so can I dive down that rabbit hole here, Tiffany? Do we
Yes,
have
you
time?
can. Go
Okay.
there, go there. That's where I want
Go
you to go.
there. And so when we hear that the human body is like 65-70% water by volume, and here's another statistic, we're 99% water by molecular count, meaning if I were to line up every type of molecule in the body, and if I were to count them, 99 out of 100 would be H2O. Now, that water, then, the assumption was for a very, very long time, I would say up until fairly recently, except for a couple of maybe key outside the box thinkers within the past 50 to 60 years, that water was assumed to behave like a liquid, like the water in a glass, right, that we would typically see in that phase. And what we now know is that, yes, we have a little bit of liquid style water inside of our bodies. It's in our cerebrospinal fluid. It's in our blood. It's in our lymphatic fluid, right? That is liquid water. The vast majority of the water in our bodies exists in what's called a gelled state. And so the water arranges itself spontaneously next to all biological surfaces in a way that creates a gel. Think Jell-O, right? That almost gelatin-like consistency to it. And when water does that, it organizes its molecules in a way that it really, instead of being random H2O sloshing around like you see in a liquid in a glass, it actually orders itself into what scientists refer to as a liquid crystalline state. And liquid crystals are antenna. They are broadband antenna. They can translate, they can receive information, but also transduce it and then transmit it. And so I view our bodies, the water inside of our bodies, as this liquid crystalline antenna. Now, Tiffany, you know that water inside of us does a ton of other things as well, about energy, and it's just a different way to kind of unify human physiology. But in terms of this manifestation and how things like mindset literally change our bodies, it's through the lens of water, because water is this antenna that's listening and responding to the energy and the information that we give it. Some of that energy and information is our light environment. Some of that energy and information are our thoughts. The words, right? Our words, who we surround ourselves with, our emotions, our dominant emotions. And those things, literally, our water is picking up on those things and can change things instantaneously, like gene expression, proteins, how they're shaped and folded. So you have to view that the water is this antenna. And that means that kind of what I think and how I behave and who I choose to spend time and energy with, it will literally change my physiology in real time. So when it comes to manifesting, I am a liquid crystalline antenna. And so I am this kind of intercessor of, I receive information and I put it out. And so then I just become very aware of, if I want to live abundantly, then, I feel abundance, but I also express abundance in my life. And it bounces back and forth between this water antenna and then the ether, which is this field around us, right? And that is how we start to manifest things, both inside of our bodies in terms of health, but also then pulling ourselves more towards that direction of a thriving state of living that we're desiring at the same time.
Yeah, so you agree with my theory, and I've never talked about this with anyone. It's difficult to find people that want to talk
Oh,
about this
really?
and don't think you're crazy. But, just understanding that everything is energy and frequencies, and that you are like the water in your body is a conduit for all of these frequencies. I've experienced this for myself. People tell me I'm really, really good at manifesting, and I agree with them. But my life didn't used to be like this. All of this kind of started happening when I started working on my quantum health, when I started working on, producing that easy water and lining up with the circadian rhythms. And now I just feel this connection to everything around me. They say the universe is inside of you, and I believe that, and that we are just all connected. And because things are flowing, things aren't blocked anymore, I just feel all of these energies, and it's so much easier to have the abundance and have the health. So thank you for confirming my theory. I think this is huge for someone who wants to make changes in their life, to understand that, yes, you can think positive thoughts, but if you're not able to, let the flow, let those flow through you, if your antenna isn't working, then you can think positive thoughts as much as you want. You're not going to have the desired effect. You might have it at some point, but it really can be accelerated by incorporating all of these practices.
Totally. Yeah. Can I ping on that for a second? Because that's totally it, right? Because with this, the vast majority of people are depleted in this gelled state of water that you called easy water or exclusion zone water. And here's why, right? And you know this, Tiffany, it's because let me start off by saying this water is designed to be the vast majority of the water inside of our cells, surrounding our cells in the extracellular matrix, lining all of our blood vessels and our vasculature. Like, we're designed to have this gelled state of water that Dr. Jerry Pollack calls the fourth phase of water, or EZ, exclusion zone water. And that water actually gives our cells a healthy negative charge, or voltage, right? Yeah. And this is mainstream to say cells require a certain voltage inside of them to be synonymous with a healthy function. The assumption was that a lot of pumps and channels maintain the voltage, ion channels, and what Dr. Pollack showed is that's kind of hogwash, and that really the unifying factor is that when water is in this gelled state, it takes on a negative charge by itself, right? The way it rearranges itself. And so we know that not only is this a liquid crystalline crystalline structure inside of us, an antenna, like you're talking about for things like manifestation, but it literally determines a healthy cell. And a healthy cell, also a healthy organ, a healthy tissue, healthy body that has adequate energy to run every program it's designed to run, which are literally hundreds of thousands of programs every cell, every second. Lots of energy. And so the water does this for us. And so what I see is exactly what your experience is exactly what I start to see in clinical practice. And it's someone comes in and their circadian signaling is off, right? So their body doesn't understand time. It's really it's a confusing and a lot of confusion and chaos. And then I also know that their exclusion zone water is depleted, because if their body is expressing symptoms of dis-ease, it means that their cells have had to kind of pick and choose what to run and when to run it, and it can't run all of its biological programs. And it's the same way like a cell phone battery drains to a critical threshold, and you and I probably couldn't be doing this right now. I couldn't download things. I couldn't get an update, right? And so our cells then, so it's synonymous to me that when someone has low exclusion zone water, their body is going to have symptoms of dis-ease. And interestingly, how do we charge that water battery back up, or how do we charge that energy, that exclusion zone water back up? It's through infrared light exposure on our skin. How many of us are in that light exposure anymore because we're living indoors? Yeah. And indoors has nowhere near the amount of infrared that we would get if we were in natural light. So we're really divorcing ourselves from this way to maintain this beautiful energy inside of us, this liquid crystalline antenna. And that also then, like you said, determines our ability to be an antenna, to truly receive information like positive thoughts and gratitude, and allow that to do its role of manifesting in the body, or of changing health in the body, because the exclusion zone water is what changes the proteins. It is what changes the DNA, right? It's the physical shift in that water that does those things. And so these go hand in hand, because as we start to signal time of day, the brain says, oh, okay, I know what time it is. And then you start to go outside and get that natural light onto the body, and we charge those batteries up, and our cells say, not only do we know the time of day, but now we have the energy to run all of our programs. Yeah. And so that in and of itself starts to support health, and that the individuals start to feel better, feel different. And then it's a feed forward process, because you've got this energy capacity now. You're charging that liquid crystalline. It's a purified liquid crystal, and now you are a better manifester, because you've done those things that just literally bring us back to how humans were designed to live.
Really, what I heard from you now is that people are walking around and they're chronically dehydrated. They Yes. keep drinking, gallons and gallons of water. Let's not even go into the topic of high quality water versus tap water. Right. But they are drinking and drinking, but they're actually not recharging their batteries because they are not in this light environment. Right. So, huge. I want to ask you, if you have someone, all the people that are listening right now that are maybe new to this and they're like, oh, this sounds interesting, this might be the missing thing for me, where do I start? What is the one thing that you would suggest someone does that is easy but has a huge impact on their well-being, and something that will give them a result quite quickly, because we're all, we want to have it now.
Totally. I'm going to give two. Okay. One's free and one you might have to get something. But the free one is spend more time outside in the morning. The changes in light in the morning are really key signals to kickstart our day, and all of our body processes that start from with the hypothalamus, the pituitary, all of them really are keying in on those changes. And so get more time outside in natural light with naked eyes. No sunglasses, no glasses, no contacts. So allow that signaling unadulterated into your eyes so that your brain can start to interpret the correct energy and information status that you need. That's number one. Number two would be if you can buy a pair of orange toned blue blockers. And I've got all of my recommendations at carriebwellness.com/products. And there's plenty of options out there, right? And if you wear the orange ones after darkness, between sunset and when it starts to get dark outside, put them on, and you'll start to realize that you're going to go to sleep at a circadian appropriate time. You're going to sleep deeper. You're going to wake up more restored, more refreshed. And then if you just keep them on, if you wake up before sunrise, then, again, as soon as the sun comes out, go outside, get that natural light signaling. In terms of how long you should stay outside, as long as is possible for you. Consistency on a day-to-day basis is way better than perfection. Meaning, if today you got a 2-minute window here and a 2-minute window here and a 2-minute window here, I would rather you do that than say, oh, I'm gonna do 2 hours once a month, or I'm gonna do 20 minutes on Saturday. The consistent signaling is what's needed to start to sync up that circadian rhythm and allow the body to start to receive all of those benefits. And they can happen quickly. I don't know about you, Tiffany, but when I transformed my health with these practices, I noticed a difference in 3 days, 3 days time. And like you said, I had done all the things, diet, exercise, supplements, mainstream medicine, right? I'd done all the things, and nothing moved the needle the way this stuff did.
I absolutely agree. It went really quick for me. And just as a little hint for people also, when I started, I was in a really bad place. I didn't even make it out of the bed for sunrise. I just put my head outside the window and I just looked at the sky until I started to feel a little bit awake. It doesn't have to be complicated, but it is the most impactful. And I think people are always like, that's it. I'm just supposed to look at the sky and that's going to change my health. Are you kidding me? Because they're so used to having to do all of these difficult things that are so hard. But this is just, why does it have to be hard? Thank you so much for that. I want to ask you one more question, and
Sure.
that is a question that we are planning on asking everyone that joins us. And that is, since this is called an empowerment session, what makes you feel empowered, and what is one thing that you would recommend to someone to do when they're just starting out with their healing journey?
Yeah. So honestly, what I've learned about health through this lens has been the most empowering thing. The quantum lens has been the most empowering thing for me, because I no longer rely on supplements or devices, or, I hate to say it, even experts, right? Like doctors and things, to tell me how to be healthy or to help me be healthy. I know that I can go outside and sync my natural light signal up to my brain. I can touch the earth with bare feet and absorb Earth's electrons. I have my breath is under my control, and that can help me regulate things like my nervous system and deeper sleep. All of these free things, I tell people, max out on that stuff, because the light is there. Earth is there, your breath is there. If you can really control how you engage with those 3 things in your life, that is more profound than anything I've ever explored on my own health journey, and then the journey of literally thousands of people now that I've been blessed to work with. So the way to do that then, right, is exactly what we said. Reassess your relationship with light right now. Is it artificial? Are you someone who has an artificial relationship with light because you're indoors behind closed glass? That's not the same as being outside or open windows. Are we always under artificial light bulbs, especially at night or first thing in the morning? And see if you can start to make shifts and changes to a more natural daily rhythm with the natural light signals. It's the most profound thing you can do, because it lays the foundation of your circadian rhythm. And that is the foundation of how your body operates.
Absolutely. And I love the word that you used, free. It's
Free.
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 If I remember all the money that I spend on supplements and doctor's visits and therapists and you name it, um, this is free. You just have to open your window and it's there. You can count on it every single morning. The sun is going to rise. Which brings me to my little announcement. We have something free to offer, and that is, we have a master class with Bruce Lipton, and you know Bruce Lipton, obviously, because he's had a huge impact on the science in regards to this field. And a lot of the newer quantum biology practitioners are using this information and coming up with all of these practices. So I just want to add to this that we're going to continue talking to each other, because you will also be part of this experience.
Tiffany, thank you so much. I just think the intersection with like the light, the water, and what you're doing with Bruce's work, and I just feel like there's such a synergy there, and I'm just so excited to be a part of it. So thank you.
Yes, there definitely is. That's why we thought of you.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye, Tiffany. Bye, everyone.